Hello and welcome to the August 18th edition of the AAPI GOcast. As always, I'm your host Scott, and here with me this week is a set of very special guests. We have the Pew Pew Jew, say hello,
Howdy,
and Mom at Arms.
Hello.
And of course, as always, we have Raphael joining me in the hot seat. Hopefully, we'll have Eugene and Bobby and possibly Malcolm joining us a little bit later, but for now, let's get this show on the road. So yeah, a lot of news to cover this week, which we'll be getting into later. And we're going to start off with just kind of a brief Q&A / intro section of our guests here. But before we do that, we have our weekly segment, What Have You Been Shooting? So has anybody been to the range this week, gotten a new firearm, new ammo, anything you wanted to, share about, new toys, show and tell?
you can go first, Jill.
Oh, thanks. I opened up my S&W M&P 45 replica air pistol. So, yeah, so I can take out some backyard targets.
Is it real?
So, yeah, that's a new gun. I mean, it shoots, but that's something for me to train with in my backyard.
Is it full blowback so you get the recoil?
Yes.
Yes,
it's
nice.
pretty nice, and it's got the just like my real 45. So yeah, since we were talking about M&P, I told you I was a Smith and Wesson fan. But yeah, that's what I do. That's how I roll. But other than that, yeah, I do a lot of dry firing around here. Work all the time.
Yeah, nothing crazy for me. I've been putting in bids on a Tokarev though. A really nice Norinco. It's probably manufactured about 10 miles from where my grandparents grew up, so
that's cool.
Fun stuff. I'm a little bit of a old gun nerd, so I'm waiting for
I have a research partner that's like that.
Waiting for the deluge of people telling me that I'm stupid for doing this.
Yeah.
Yep. And Yehuda, any new guns?
Yeah, actually, well, not new gun, but I did get to shoot the exothermic pulse fire. If you're not familiar with that I'll just give it its other name, a flamethrower.
Oh,
nice.
Yes. Oh, yes. Yep.
He only brings that up because
I just
Googled it. Makes me jealous. He knows it's making me jealous.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. I went to Gun Mag Warehouse. I have a bunch of friends there, and I do some work with Gun Mag Warehouse. And my buddy Daniel Shaw, who works there, is like, "Hey, yeah, come on down and let's shoot the flamethrower." I'm like, "Oh, please don't twist my arm." And it was awesome. It was really awesome.
Why would you want one? On their website, the answer to that question is, did you see the pictures? It's a flamethrower.
Yeah, I mean, that's exactly. I mean, I live in Texas, so my wife is like, "Why would you ever need one of those?" I'm like, because everything is bigger in Texas, including the spiders. So
also,
I was like,
zombies.
Well, zombies, yeah, I guess. But yeah, that's what I shot, and I actually just bought a new rail for my AR pistol. I'm giving it a little bit of a upgrade, or yeah, I'm actually taking it from a 5.56 and I'm converting it to a 300 blackout, and I'm getting an Omega 9K to put on it. And the beauty about the Omega 9K is it can go sub or supersonic or whatever it's called, subsonic, and God, I can't think straight. But yeah, I'm converting it to a 300 blackout, so I'm pretty stoked about that.
You're making me sad right now. AR pistols, no up here.
Yeah, they're totally banned in California too, for the most part. Unless you do like a single shot exemption.
Let me tell you something. I don't know how old you guys are, and I don't know, much about you guys in general. But let me tell you, I grew up in LA. I put 30 years in prison there, so I'm actually. I make it a point to kind of rip people who are still in LA because it's fun. And they're all like, well, you should have just stayed and fought. I'm like, yeah, but then I couldn't own my 10.5-inch AR pistol, my Glock 19 with 15 rounds, all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
Look, I feel you. I definitely feel you, but yeah.
I know.
Okay.
That's nature from over time I visit my parents because they live in Nevada, and it's like crossing into a different dimension. You got open carry, and it's like the rarity is concealed carry in Nevada. People are just like open carrying all over the place, including bars, and you can buy pretty much anything, including silencers, at your local gun store. And yeah, not so much here in California. It's a different world. But yeah, I mean, in terms of myself there, like what I've been shooting, I actually really haven't shot anything since our event on 7/31, unfortunately, but did have a misfire of a milling / Cerakote attempt on my Glock 23. Sent it to a place online that was offering a good deal, came out, looked like absolute crap. But luckily I was able to resurrect it with a local place called Sagisi Manufacturing here in the Bay Area, and it's a 9-day difference. So they're doing kind of like a burnt bronze, dark Cerakote thing on the Glock, putting in, milling it for all sorts of fun stuff like red dots and everything like that. So thankfully, I was able to resurrect that for not a whole lot of money. So happy about that, but more of a misfire than a shot. Cool.
Yeah, misfire generally has a specific meaning.
Yes, exactly. All right. Well, moving on then, I do see that we have like one person in the chat. Thanks for joining, but we typically take Q&A at the end of the podcast, so we'll definitely get to you, but it might be, an hour or so. Moving on then. So, but as I mentioned earlier, we do have our two special guests here. So just wanted to ask, in general, can you tell us a little bit about your organizations and, any key takeaways for our audience and what they should know about you?
Well, do you want to go first this time, Yehuda?
No, definitely.
I'll be more than happy to go.
Definitely not. Ladies first.
Oh, thank you. I am I run a sleuth site, and we debunk gun control propaganda. That's what Mom at Arms does. We've been pretty successful with it. It first started off as myself, just me here in Southern Virginia, blogging away as a mom and a woman, of course, and then being someone who works 9 to 5, is out and about on the road pretty much all the time with a child and just worried about what's going on in the world. And I decided to put my thoughts out in black and white, or on paper, so to speak, and kind of debunk all of the gun control propaganda that was coming from organizations like Moms Demand, Action, Everytown, Gifford, March for Our Lives. And then after a while, I kind of buddied up with some more people, some other researchers, and we have created our own little team of two-way. We're sleuths, but we're also trolls. We troll gun control folks, and we have a good time doing it. And of course, that's what led me into meeting Yehuda, the Pew Pew Jew. So we kind of meshed our personalities together and became became gun control troll pals. But other than that, it's just Mom at Arms is pretty much just a debunking site. I am a certified USCCA instructor, firearms instructor as well. And then I am also the Virginia State Director for the DC Project, Women for Gun Rights, and the East Coast lead for 1 Million Moms Against Gun Control. So we are pretty spanned out, and I have a team that's all over the country, and we have a viewership that's all over the world. So I'm pretty stoked about us. So that's me.
So in other words, if I have a searing indictment of some anti-gun politician, I know who to send it to now.
Yes, please, and we will FOIA the crap out of it. That's how we pretty much do our thing. We just do investigations, and then we go and we troll the politicians.
Yeah, if you're looking for good targets. Sam Liccardo in San Jose, the mayor. He is a great one and a favorite of the show. If you check our podcast history, so yeah, feel free, fire away on that guy.
Gotcha.
Also, our soon-to-be dearly departed Andrew Cuomo. I'm sure there's more dirt.
Yeah,
I think he's pretty much messed up himself.
I mean, apparently he
that's a
demanded
whole
a
other
lot
story.
of action from various mothers. So
Yeah.
that's how it goes.
Lots and lots.
I like this.
They demanded, and he gave it.
Yep.
I think
Well, it wasn't
probably lack of
indictment. He
demand,
demanded,
actually.
and yeah, exactly. It was,
Yeah.
he demanded, they resisted.
Yeah. And he was a Moms Demand Action gun control or gun sense candidate. They were very big about promoting Moms Demand Action in every town. Giffords, I believe, as well. They were all very pro Cuomo.
They say they're homosexuals, I guess.
Yeah, homosexuals. That's funny. Yeah, that's exactly what they were.
Let's change the name of the site for a day to. No, never mind. That's a bad joke. I'm not gonna
say it. If you can't say it here, where can you say it?
4chan. All right. Yehuda. You also
what did I do?
Cool stuff, and we want to hear all about it. This is not an interrogation.
This is not. Oh, what's the fun in that? Yeah, so I have a brand called the Pew Pew Jew, and I began about 4.5 years ago. I had about my first gun. I lived in California, but this was already 7 years ago when I lived in California when this all happened. But I bought my first gun, and when my parents found out, even though I was married out of the house, when my parents found out, they kind of went like full on Chernobyl, like absolute nuclear meltdown, and they wouldn't talk to me for weeks, and I was irresponsible, and I mean I was called every name that you can imagine, and it kind of got me thinking like how I can educate my children on firearm safety. So I went to the NRA website and I found the Eddie Eagle program, but I found that the Eddie Eagle program was severely lacking because, as we all know, there's a lot more to gun safety than what to do if you find a gun somewhere it's not supposed to be. So I went to Amazon to go buy my kids a book, so they can read about gun safety. Kind of shocked that there was no books on the market designed for kids on gun safety. So I decided to write a book, never thinking I'd be published. It took me about 5 years to get the book published. And since when was it published? January of 2017. Once I got it published, things started rolling, and I've since released 8 books in 4.5 years. And in that time, I was writing a book called 27 Words, which was kind of a breakdown of the 27 words of the Second Amendment for children. And I was talking to a buddy of mine who is kind of a 2A historian. And he's like, yeah, man, you're kind of like the Pew Pew Jew. And I'm like, ooh, that's catchy. And I just rolled with it. I got a logo made, and now I have a full-blown online brand, a name, and I have been just building this little Jewish empire in the gun world, and it's been fantastic.
Nice. And I assume the name also pisses off basic white girls.
I'm not sure really what that means, but I will tell you this. I do get lots of anti-Semitic hate mail. I mean, I've got, not enough Jews bit the curb. I love the smell of Cyclone B in the morning. Hitler wasn't such a bad guy. Something about, I don't even remember, something about my cousin burning in ovens. I mean, none of them were, the only really creative one was I love the smell of Zyklon B in the morning. That one actually got me to chuckle. But besides that, very lame, just digs at the fact that I'm a very proud, gun-toting, Second Amendment supporting, patriotic American Jew, and yeah, it just came with the territory, and I'm okay with it.
Yeah, I haven't seen any anti-gun hatred towards Asians online, except for this one video, which I guess you could classify as hate. T-Rex Arms brought out, or Lucas from T-Rex Arms brought out this Japanese airsofter kid, who was instantly absolutely amazing with real firearms. And the entire
I remember seeing that video.
Was, yeah, the entire comment section was, okay, so no matter who you are, there's some kid from Asia who can do it better. And I guess that's hateful under modern standards, but that's the most hate I've ever seen. Huh.
Yeah.
I
mean, Princess Jane sort of had a little bit of a tough time in Recoil with that cover a couple of weeks ago. But other than that, I mean, that wasn't really so much Asian related. That was more stupid bigoted LGBTQ crap, which no one tolerates around here for sure.
I've gotten my fair share of that. Mostly jokes on how I can't decide between ARs and AKs, though. Which, I mean, fair enough.
Nice. Well, yeah, I mean, that sort of segues into the next question we had, which is, hey, why, if you could both tell us, what makes your gun group unique? I mean, why not join the NRA, or, why not jump onto somebody else's bandwagon instead of starting a group? It's a question we tend to get a lot.
Well,
go ahead.
Go ahead. Oh.
No, you go ahead.
Okay. We have the whole point of Mom at Arms was to do something that the gun rights industry wasn't doing already, and that was really going head on with a lot of these gun control proponents, and not worrying about the PC culture and all that good stuff. I mean, it's just like, hey, look, these people are infringing on our rights. They're trying to eradicate our Constitution and etch away at it piece by piece. So, and they're using propaganda tactics to do such, to get people on their side. And it's not the fact that Mom at Arms, we're not like one of those organizations like the NRA or or the GOA or anything like that. We're not necessarily like that, because we have offered our investigations and stuff like that to these groups to use, and some of them have. But if, for the most part, it's Mom at Arms is more so like we're the investigating nerds behind it all. We're like, and we're a grassroots group, so we're really not taking any type of funding or endorsements or anything like that. We're all volunteers, and we just, because we love our country, we just feel like this is something that we need to do, and we're compelled to do it and called to do it. So we also see the lies that the general public, not necessarily some big organization that has a lot of funding and endorsements and all that good stuff. We're just the general public. We're the little guys, the your next door neighbors that are saying, hey, look, there's more truth behind. There's truth behind those lies, and vice versa. So we're trying our best to sift through it all and actually give people concrete facts. And this is why Chipman is being, this was why Chipman is Biden's, I almost forgot our president's name. Isn't that funny? Is why Biden has chosen Chipman.
In fairness,
as
I think he forgets his name several times a day. So,
that's what got me set off. I was like, he forgets. But, and that's what we do. I mean, so we're not like, we promote grassroots organizations more so than we do larger organizations, but we don't like demean the larger organizations by any means. So we're not technically like, now if somebody, if you're into investigations or you are really good at sleuth work or decoding or doing or using the Freedom of Information Act and go on those paths, we would love contributors to Mom at Arms. I brought on contributors a couple of years ago, excuse me, and we would love it. I mean, it's an easy process. We don't pay anything. I mean, if y'all don't mind working for free, but we feel like it's for the common good, not necessarily just for funding or anything like that. We're not in it for any type of monetary gain. We're doing this because we love our country, we love our fellow man and woman, and we love just to be able we're setting ourselves in a place to make sure that our future is taken care of, because there's so many lies, there's so much misguidedness out there, and it's just crazy. So we feel like that we're the ones that are shining some light in all of it. So, and we've been really successful with it. So we're those little guys that have had our work used in many big cases, and hopefully we'll continue to. It just depends on what's next. That's pretty much what we look for, is what's next, what's happening next. So that's what we do. I hope that made sense. I lost myself with the Biden thing.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense. I mean, and I definitely sense a spirit of kindredness, or I'm making up my own words here, but
that's fine.
We're kind of the same, I mean, we're grassroots. We don't have a lot of support. In fact, no support from anybody other than ourselves. 100% volunteer run. We're just doing it for the right reasons, and we don't have the backing of the NRA, which is more than I can say for other groups that are similarly oriented on the scene. But yeah.
That's awesome. Cool. And that's what matters, because I believe that the grassroots, just from what's happening with the NRA and how these gun control groups are going to, they target these larger organizations. I believe that the grassroots organizations like ourselves are who's going to carry it in the long run. So it's up to us. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, and it's not like one individual group can do, everything. No. So it's kind of like alliances and partnerships that are really going to make the difference.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, there's just not enough of us out there that are really united like Mom at Arms or Brady or those kinds of groups that are just out there constantly lobbying Congress, or, just really using those grassroots political tactics out there.
That's true. Like Moms Demand Action and Everytown and places like, I mean, they deal with, they have big money behind them, but they also know how to funnel their money in between all of them. So, I mean, where you've heard one where you know of Brady campaign, and they flow into Everytown, and Everytown flows into Moms Demand Action, and then Moms Demand Action, and all of them kind of just like give back and forth to Gifford. So it's just, that's how they're organized. That's how they keep together, because they have to. It's all, financial to them. And where it is for us little guys in the gun rights community, we're doing this because we have, not because we want to, it's because we need to. So there's that difference. So take it away, Yehuda.
Oh, I'm in it for the money. No, look, I don't. My brand, my whole Pew Pew Jew brand, really started off for me to make money so that I could get my books made, pay for the publication and to pay for the illustrations and the whole production. However, it did take a very strange turn when I have now become really the sole voice of 2A advocacy in the Jewish world. And when I say Jewish world, I'm not talking about the whole Jewish world. I'm talking about like in the Orthodox Jewish world. There's no one doing what I'm doing, being a vocal advocate for the Second Amendment, or as vocal as I am. So I've been able to use the whole Pew Pew Jew brand and persona in shining a light. Because if you look at it, right, who are some of the biggest gun grabbers that we see in Congress, in the Senate, in different places around the country. A lot of them happen to be Jews, right? But they're really Jews in name only. They're not practicing. Their religion is liberalism, and you don't see. So Jews have a kind of a very bad reputation of being anti-gun. I'm aiming to change that.
Ginos?
I guess you can call them that. Sounds a little dirty, calling them that, but
come on, there's ladies present here.
But my point is though that there's no one doing what I'm doing, and I've been able to reach across the aisle, meaning I've been able to reach Reform Judaism to Orthodox Jews and start converting minds and explaining to them about their rights, all because of a brand that I started to make money. So yes, I'm in it for the money, but I also do very much enjoy the idea of advocacy. And first and foremost, I am a Second Amendment advocate. I mean, I will never, I won't turn my back on the Second Amendment because it's so important for not just Jews, but any Americans to learn from history and see what happens when you give up your guns. So that's where I stand. I joke about, it's all about the money because I am a Jew and everyone likes a good Jew joke. But, that's really what I do.
I was worried you were making a cheap stereotype joke at first, and then I realized, oh no, he's being weird.
Oh my gosh, no, you nut. Oh my gosh, he's such a nut. I'm sorry, he gets me giggling all the time. For what it's worth, even though he's in it for the money, for what he does and Yehuda's brand, the Pew Pew Jew, he does awesome work, especially his children's books. We have one for my son who was having some speech issues back about a year ago when he was starting to become more talkative, and we got his ABCs of guns. I don't have it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
It's not that hard to. It's an ABC book, Jill. Come on.
Yeah. No, I thought I had it with me, and my ADD went everywhere. But anyway, the ABC book of guns, and that's how. And he it was awesome. And you just asked my son, say this one, and he'll say bullet. It's just cute. So, so it's because I don't think bullet's in there. Is it? I don't know.
No.
I have to get it.
I know that barrel and bipod.
Yeah, but he likes it. But it's cute and it's very informative. I mean, you have parts of a firearm that's in there that not most adults know. And I wish I had it in front of me. Dang it! But anyway,
for Acutech and Z Zastava or something.
Yes, it's cute. Yeah. I'm not that, but it's just like I wish I had it in front of me. But anyway, it's pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. So. That's it.
Yeah. A couple more quick questions for both of you. Sure. So this one's pretty fast. What's your favorite anti-Second Amendment organization to troll or target or make fun of or?
Moms Demand Action is how I got my foot in the door. I have been trolling them for some time. My team and I have. With every even troll account that we have ever created, it's like they find us and they get rid of it. I mean, they block us. It's gotten to the point where we even have an article that the Free Beacon did for us, did on us, where we trolled Shannon Watts and Bill Peduto in Pennsylvania with a T-shirt that had the Moms Demand Action logo on it, and we had some stick figures on the shirt that were doing naughty dances with one another.
Were they sharing a
sexualized? Yes, very special hugs. I don't know how PG what your show's rated, but it was a very rated R T-shirt.
We're not.
Okay, great. It was a bunch of stick figures getting it on, and a couple of the guys on my team. I have guys on my team. It's not all moms, it's some dads and dudes on there too. And they bought these shirts. The shirt was never meant for public sale. It was just us. But we trolled Moms Demand Action and Bill Peduto and a couple of other politicians with this shirt when they were pushing their "man enough to be a mom" hashtag through Moms Demand Action in every town. And Shannon Watts and Bill Peduto actually retweeted one of my guys wearing this shirt. And it was so bad. It was so hilarious. Well, they ended up blocking us. And we wrote an article. Well, about a year later, Shannon Watts, founder of Moms Demand Action, she created a fake tweet using that shirt. And long story short, before this, she sent every town actually sent my third party shirt creator people a cease and desist to never use that logo again. But she ended up using it in a fake tweet directed at Nick Freitas, who is a Virginia politician, a very pro 2A Virginia politician. And she was using it to direct it at him. And she said that he tweeted this shirt out. She used like one of those fake tweet generators saying that Nick Freitas tweeted this shirt out and was talking about his wife and everything like that. It's a long.
So
anyway.
Wait, she used your shirt about her not getting action and then lied about it enough to actually.
She flipped it around in a fake tweet that she dated in 2016. The shirt wasn't created until 2018, 2019. So of course we're on jumping on, like my team and I are jumping on her threads and everybody's threads that we could see because she's got most of us blocked. And, and I'm sending information to Nick Freitas' wife, who I'm affiliated with on other platforms. I'm like, look, this is I got all the information. If you need it, here it is. This is the biggest troll of our lifetime. So not too long after, Shannon actually had to delete that tweet because in that process of her pushing that tweet, she was also trying to raise funds for Nick Freitas' running opponent, Abigail Spanberger, who never denounced it. She just acted like it never happened. So that was our best troll. I mean, we've got a couple more in and out, but that was probably the one for a lifetime there. All over a shirt that was never really a shirt. It was just a parody, a fake something to troll with, and we nabbed them. It was great.
Is this shirt still available anywhere, or do you
no? Because of the cease and desist, we had to pull it, but we still have the design. We still have the design for the day that we can prove parody. And of course, Yehuda has been helping with some other ideas and stuff like that.
I happen
too,
to know a lady
cool.
who has a t-shirt press.
Oh, nice.
I mean, personal use is actually a reasonable exception to copyright, and I think so. Shirt.
Yeah, personal use. Yeah. Yep. And that's pretty much what we did. We looked into a third party designer that did just independent work, but every town there was an issue where we had written an article where we did an FOI on a lady that was pushing lies and stuff, and we got her information. She found out, and we redacted what the government actually didn't redact. So we kept her pretty personal, but we gave out her name and everything like that. And she threw a fit. And she's here in Virginia as a Moms Demand Action leader. And that's how all of this started. Is she trolled. She went through my website, momandor.com, and found the shop. She found the picture that we had published through our Twitter. And she saw it, and that's when she kind of sent it all to Every Town Legal. And they sent my third party t-shirt vendor a cease and desist. And then, of course, my vendor contacted me and she's like, oh God, look what we're doing. So it was a big mess, but it ended up biting Shannon in the ass. So that was pretty awesome.
You're doing things right when you start getting cease and desist.
Yeah. Oh gosh, yes.
Generally a good sign.
Exactly.
Oh yeah. So it's a badge of honor.
Well, and speaking of biting in the ass, I mean, not to trigger anybody, but weren't they kind of asking for it with a name like Moms Demand Action? I don't know.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Honestly, I think doesn't the name imply that they're Nah. It doesn't
whores.
they're asking for it.
It's a blatant
whores.
double entendre, you know. So.
Yeah, they are gun control whores.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen moms demand single action, which,
There you go.
obviously,
Yeah.
the cooler, the cool mom who
There you go.
carries.
And
Yeah,
you can't find moms demand double action unless safe search is off on your.
That was good. Yeah. Okay. That was awesome. That's good. But anyway,
Sad but true.
That's my good troll.
This is all right, Yehuda. Do you also have it out for the moms, or have it on? For
No,
them,
no. I actually, my favorite anti-gun organization to troll is the NRA.
Hey,
Hey,
yeah. Ever since they got behind the bump stock ban, I've been mad at them.
Yeah, I enjoy trolling the NRA. They don't like me so much. But hey, they did give me a media badge to the NRA show, so I guess I'm not persona non grata yet. But yeah. I mean, I kind of troll. I like trolling politicians. That's always fun.
Yeah.
I met Kirsten Gillibrand a while ago, and it was just a meet and greet for a work function. And I just kind of, it was. I met her briefly, and I just kind of sidled up and whispered in her ear, something along the lines of, "You're a fascist cunt." She is probably used to it, but it was probably the most satisfying experience of my entire life.
Gotta get it off your shoulders. I know.
Yeah. I mean, with politicians, that could have gone one of two ways. So, bravo for trying.
Exactly.
She's not important enough to have a good security detail. So,
well, what I meant to say was that it either would have turned her on or you would have gotten arrested.
She's also lost a lot of, she had maybe literally 15 minutes of fame there for a while, and then they just kind of forgot her when she started to play the middle ground.
Well, she's an absolute ass, but she does have good biceps, so I'll give her that.
Okay.
But yeah, in terms of actually holding a conversation with her, she falls slightly below the average intelligence of a U.S. senator, which isn't a high bar as it is. Yeah, pretty sad.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, before we get into news, just kind of curious, do either of you have any upcoming events or announcements that you would like to share here?
I don't have anything really coming up. Like I said, we're in the research. We're the research people, so we're just watching the headlines, and especially with everything that's going on right now in the news, we look for things that we can tie into the Constitution and the Second Amendment, just to bring awareness. We are waiting to see what happens to David Chipman, to see if that completely falls through, and we think it will, especially with our work with the FPC and that our work individually, as well as the FPC and Stephen Gutowski and people like that. We want to see how it kind of all plays out. So that's pretty much it. We're just the watchers. We're the voyeurs for two-way.
I'm putting that on the shirt tonight.
Mama
are two-way voyeurs.
Yes.
If we're not careful, we're going to give somebody a fetish, and it's not going to be good. We can find you at arms.com.
Yes.
You can use dashes in that or not. Both
Yep.
work. And I'm actually reading through it right now and having a lot of fun. This is
fun.
Good writing style, fun articles, and relentless trolling of Shannon Watts.
Yes. We are a funny group. I like to have things.
Speaking of fetishes, I mean, I think I just developed one, so... What an absolute idiot.
I mean, Shannon Watts does sort of have that evil Nazi librarian thing going for her, so I can understand.
Oddly specific, but if you played Wolfenstein, you get it.
Well, yeah, I mean, I just go back to Indiana Jones and The Last Crusade. This is how the Austrians say goodbye. This is how we say goodbye in Germany, Doctor.
Exactly.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. And
I just made this conversation very awkward.
Nah, I'm grinning. This is awesome. All right. On to the news, which is actually pretty interesting this week. So the Taliban moved back into Afghanistan, highlighting the incompetence of an administration that shall not be named. And as soon as the Taliban moved into the Afghan capital, Kabul, they started confiscating personal weapons. What a shock. Authoritarian, theocratic despots instantly want their population to be disarmed. What a curious thing this is.
Yeah, I saw some very nice optics and collapsible stocks that I wish were legal in the state of California, but I guess they're too busy selling them to the Taliban.
That's what happens when you don't live near the Khyber Valley or Khyber Pass. They make some really cool guns in that area of the Middle East, and they find their way all over the Middle East and all over the world. But the really fun part was a spokesperson for the Taliban said, people don't need guns anymore because they can feel safe. This is for public safety.
And then they go and shoot somebody's grandma.
When the Taliban and Everytown Gun Safety have the same messaging, you start to wonder, wait, whose side are they on? So yeah, the Taliban is now reusing Michael Bloomberg's talking points to explain civilian firearm forfeiture, which is both disturbing and hilarious to me.
He wants them to stop and frisk.
Yeah, I live in the state that actually has that.
And that's exactly right. Well, yep. And we're the extremists, though. We're the extremists.
Hey, as long as nobody's showing any ankle, I guess it's okay for them, right?
Yeah, exactly.
There was this saying a long time ago that there will come a time when all men are mad. And when they come across someone who's not mad, they'll say, "You're mad. You're not like us." And I think every generation has thought, "Oh, yep, we're there." But I think they were all wrong, and actually we're there.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's just one interesting messaging thing that happened. Another really fun one is Australia recently got this new lockdown over, I think, 9 cases of COVID in the New South Wales area. So it's been extended until September 19th. Authorized officers can break into any land, building, structure, or vehicle using whatever force necessary, direct or prohibit the movement of people, animals, or vehicles, put people in quarantine by force, order people to undergo medical exams, tests, or treatment, and compel people to provide information, all without showing credentials.
Are the dingoes exempt from this?
I don't know. All I'm thinking is, wow, this is almost exactly like the stories my great-grandmother used to tell me about Soviet Russia. As in, to the T. Or I don't have any family in who would be able to speak to this, or, perhaps somewhat Nazi.
Very, very much.
Yeah, and also notable that Australians don't have guns.
Yeah, the only difference is Australians have better accents.
They do sound cool.
Yeah, they certainly do.
Well, I don't know. Okay, so Southerners sound pretty cool. But are they cooler than Australians? That's the question.
Absolutely.
I've always wondered if Australians have a negligent discharge, do they yell crikey?
Well, but hold on. Steve Irwin versus Larry the Cable Guy. Who wins in a battle of the accent?
I don't know. I'm from Southern Virginia, so I don't.
But you always side with the rednecks. We get it.
Yeah. We'd have to.
Yeah, I married a girl from Southern Virginia, so I can't really on this either. Sorry.
It's hard. Steve Irwin was cool.
Yeah.
But,
I think that's the first time
we
I've
say
heard
y'all.
name within a long time.
Oh, I say y'all. It's a really easy habit to pick up. And moving on to one of the really, really, really cool things that actually will make a big difference in my life. November 3rd, the Supreme Court will begin hearing arguments on a Second Amendment case sponsored by Firearms Policy Coalition. Please sponsor us. We love you. That this lawsuit challenges New York states shall issue carry permits.
Yeah, and I'm excited about it because it has definite implications here out west in California, especially in, California's mostly a redneck state outside of the big cities, so you can get a concealed carry permit in like Lassen County or like the Gold Rush territory that no one lives in anymore. But LA, San Francisco, Santa Clara, San Jose, not so much. Unless you're willing to donate a pallet of iPads to the Santa Clara County Sheriff's Office, which is an actual thing that happened.
Uh-huh.
Well, here in New York State, we actually have permits to own pistols as well. So every single pistol in the state, ostensibly, is registered with the government. So we're really looking forward. Everybody here is really looking forward to this going through. And I mean, the scope of the lawsuit is such that if the defendants or if the plaintiffs are found in favor of, we could just get constitutional carry. It depends on what opinion they give, but forcing New York State to have constitutional carry would be probably one of the coolest things to ever happen in the history of ever. And we're very, very, very hyped about it up here.
And wasn't the last time you had constitutional carry like the time of the Revolutionary War?
Before the Sullivan Act, which was 1911, ironically. Yeah. So it's super cool, and I think it's time for St. Benitez to rest a little bit, because now it's time for the Honorable Barrett to take up this case.
Yeah, I'm always kind of curious. Is Robert Benitez have any traction on the East Coast?
We all love him, but he's never done anything for us. We've never had a freedom weekend, so.
Oh, I know. I mean, I just meant to people know about him. I mean, here we have like candelabras dedicated to him. There you can get the nice Catholic glass, stained glass candles that you light with him on it. You see in many Latin American households. It's
we're aware of him, but he's not a saint in our canon, so to speak.
No.
Got it.
No. Not in Southern Virginia. I mean, like we're aware, but
you guys don't need him.
Yeah.
No. I mean, like if it comes down, if Northern Virginia, the way we see it is, where I'm from, we're very laid back. We know right from wrong. Yeah, we have some idiots amongst us all, but as far as Northern Virginia, if they passed certain laws or that mandates or whatever, or recommendations or whatnot, we just kind of we listen to them, but then we're like, that's we don't listen to them. I mean, we follow, enough to say, like God's law. It's just like we know our rights, we know what we're doing, we're not out to hurt anyone, and that's that. So we're.
I actually. I have a question for you, Jill.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Were you at that big march for Virginia gun rights?
Yes, I was.
A couple years back? Did you meet the guy with the Barrett who was running around?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, that's my local range owner.
Oh, really?
Yep, that's Brandon. He owns my range.
Nice. He was very sweet. He and his wife were there, I believe.
He's a wonderful
wife or fiance.
Teddy bear. I think fiance then, wife now.
No, okay, great. Yeah, she was cute. She was very. It was really cute to see her running around when she was running around with it. So that was. I mean, I was like, oh, okay, good girl.
Yeah.
So there was a revolver.
She can't shoulder fire it. I think Brandon probably can though.
Yeah, she was cute. So yeah, but yeah, I was there. They were a fun group. That was a fun crowd too. We had especially with I don't know gun owners and gun rights advocates from all over the country, and it was just amazing. So it was amazing. I'll say that's probably one of my fondest memories in this arena. So it was great.
Yeah, no, I figured, hey, you're probably in the area, and you might know this guy.
Yeah, I remember.
Well, to your point, I mean, I think that's one of the things that just never gets enough exposure in the media, probably for obvious reasons. It's just people who own firearms are actually great normal people, especially when we get together and, have cool events like that. And most people are really willing to share their gear, share knowledge, pretty much anything, and totally against the stereotypes that you see all the time.
Yeah.
Honestly, I was even as a stereotypical gun owning person. So we actually have a guy from the range listening in today, and it is confirmed Brandon can shoulder fire the Barrett, and there is video proof.
Nice.
Yeah, so
that's nice.
It's pretty awesome.
Nice. Well, cool. Moving on to the next piece here, a little bit of a spicy one. The media is ignoring racism allegations against Chipman. Who thought? This comes from The Reload. So this week they published a pretty major story on Chipman's nomination, featured the story of a black ATF agent who's accused of, David Chipman is accused of attempting to derail his career, essentially, with a false and racially motivated accusation of cheating on his promotion assessment.
Mm-hmm.
Couple of ATF agents have vouched for his credibility. And, mysteriously enough, there's not been a single mention of it anywhere but Fox. It was in the Washington Post, but not New York Times, CNN, MSNBC, any of the mainstream media sources. I mean, I guess not surprising, but still kind of curious what your thoughts are on our good old friend Chipman and his propensity for burning children.
I'm not oh gosh, sad. My team and I actually have a little bit of we're not liked by David Chipman and his wife. We before a lot of other outlets started to kind of look into Chipman's more personal aspects, my team, one of my researchers was digging, and we found out who his wife was. And we kind of found out Chipman's financial and political bias through her, as well as some other things that he did not disclose on his nomination forms. So so Chipman is it doesn't surprise me, especially when Stephen with the Gutowski with the Reload found out with the racist accusations.
Wait, you're saying that David Chipman both looks like an old racist Caucasian frog and
he
acts
does.
like an old racist Caucasian frog?
Yes, that is exactly right. And
I always think that he looks like the creepy on the Mr. Rogers show. Like, think of it as like Lady Elaine or something, the creepy one that lived in the clock tower with the mop head haircut and red nose. Like that's just what he reminds me of.
I'll be straight with you. He looks like a lesbian.
Well, I'm sorry, you're young enough to have never seen Mr. Rogers, probably. But
I'll be straight with you.
Just the Tiger show that came out, that doesn't count.
Daniel Tiger's not a real thing. Mr. Rogers is the original. However, he does look like a lesbian.
He does.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. He actually
looks like a lesbian mom who's not gotten enough action, I guess.
That's why those moms love him.
Or the puppet.
Lesbian Muppet.
You just put Team America force in my head. No, I need to get that out.
America. Oh yeah. Yeah. So shocker. He's racist. He worked for the ATF. I'm not really surprised.
That's exactly right.
All right. Other news. Let's see. All right. One other big thing is there's a House resolution. I believe it's still in committee, so nothing to panic about yet. But they're attempting to amend the NFA. So the NFA, for those who are unfamiliar, was an act introduced in 1934 that essentially introduced a number of restrictions on the features of firearms. So at the time, $200 is a lot of money, and this required a tax stamp for any rifle or shotgun with a barrel under 18 inches, and also required a $200 tax stamp for any fully automatic weapon. Now, the background of this is something we've covered before, but essentially it's a long, complicated, and surprisingly very racist towards Italians law. There's a variety of reasons for this. Al Capone had a good bit to do with the restrictions on short barrel shotguns and rifles due to how people were defending themselves from the mob at the time. But all that aside, there's an attempt to amend this, and not in the good way. They want to add any semi-automatic rifle that has the capacity to accept a detachable magazine to the NFA, which would mean you have to get a tax stamp, which means paying $200 to the government and getting a paperwork that certifies that this gun has been taxed appropriately. This process can take up to 6 months for basic stuff, and years if you're transferring an automatic weapon or something like that. So basically, they want to make ownership of semi-automatic rifles, so most rifles, so inconvenient as to be prohibitive for the average person. So obviously, a lot of problems with this, including trying to keep rifles in common use away from normal citizens. I don't think this law would stand up to legal scrutiny, especially with the standards of common use established in Heller and McDonald. But it's still discomfiting that somebody's even trying to get this added to the NFA. If there's an NFA amendment, I want it changing the text of the bill to blank, not adding extra stupidity. The other thing that the NFA did was regulate silencers, those awful, nasty hearing protection devices.
All of it's ridiculous.
Ban the government.
Ban the government. Ooh, new shirt.
Audit the Fed, ban the government, and give some double action to those moms.
Exactly, and resurrect the political career of Ron Paul while we're at it, so he can do everything.
I mean, at this point, might as well resurrect Ron Paul. Poor guy's getting up there.
I mean, is he the same age or older than Biden? I'm just...
I believe he's... Biden's, 78?
Old.
Biden is 706, and Ron Paul
That's
is...
right.
Wikipedia, come on. He's 85, so he's a little bit older than Biden. However, he's always been smarter than Biden, and I think that will continue.
He's more competent and coherent. He's
also, a decent human being.
Yes.
Not an authoritarian
jerk face
Chinese prostitute.
Yeah. I mean, when you're starting out with more brain cells, then there's less to deteriorate with age, so it makes sense.
Yeah, go come on, throw some more slurs out there. Yeah, he's man, I miss Ron Paul. Yep. And so besides the NFA stupidity, a couple other more legal updates. So one, Sheila Jackson Lee, who is probably the stupidest Texan in existence, is trying to get 200 more ATF agents to carry out future federal gun control laws, which is just peachy. Basically, she really, really hates dogs and wants us all to know it. My dog is actually looking at me with a good deal of concern right now. I've taught her to be scared of the phrase ATF, and I'm very proud of how this went.
I need to teach my puppy that trick there, if you got any tips.
Yeah, basically just
you just yell ATF and knock on the door super loudly to get her spooked?
I crackled a stun gun at her while saying ATF, and now whenever I say it, she appropriately freaks out and gets defensive. However, she did meet an FBI agent at one point, and she did not like him at all, and I was also...
I think the FBI just cut off your communications.
Yeah, probably. I mean, her mother was shot. Her mother was shot by a DEA agent, so it might just be genetic at this point. Not liking feds runs in the family. But that's neither here nor there.
That is the dog, correct? Because you did cut out for a second before you.
No.
She shot her family.
No, that is the dog. So her mother was shot. I was just making sure you didn't have any relatives in Waco. I mean, no, only my grandfather's from Texas. No, but my dog was shot by my dog's mom was shot by a DEA agent off duty with a suppressed block. Yeah.
Oh man.
Not fun. No. And finally, a number of state bills have been introduced to raise the age of firearms ownership to 21, because as we all know, you're not actually an adult at 18. You can just go into the military or hundreds of thousands of dollars of debt to go to college.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, you can't actually,
shoot
defend yourself.
and then...
Yeah, you can't defend yourself, exercise normal rights, drink, smoke now. Yeah, but you can be a useful tool, which is nice.
Yep. Yeah, well, exactly. I mean, and then you can just donate your fully auto weapon to the Taliban in Afghanistan on your way out the door, so it all works out. But not unless you're 21.
Or use it in a movie prop in that use it as a movie prop in that wildly successful series, Fast and Furious.
Awesome. Well, cool. Well, I mean, that wraps up the news section. So normally we would hop into Q&A, but looks like we only have one person in the room. Yashikai, do you have any questions for us or the audience? I thought I saw your hand up earlier.
Nah, no, right. That dude. He knows more than all of us put together.
That's right.
Yep. All right.
Awesome.
So in that case, I've got actually a couple questions for each of you.
Sure.
Our dear guests of today. So Yehuda, you've been effective at converting, non-gun loving Jews. So what did you do? Can you please tell us some secrets? Because we need to get some more of the Asians on our side.
I mean, really, it's just a matter of fact, right? You show them facts, you show them history. You talk about what Hitler did in 1933. You talk about the Nuremberg laws restricting Jews from owning firearms. They had to register them, then they were confiscated. You just really talk about facts and show them the benefits of being able to defend yourself, right? You're your own first line of defense. And on top of that, one thing that's wrong with present day Jews. When I say Jews, I don't mean it's a very common misconception. They're like, well, yeah, look, Jews in America, look at the ones in Israel, right? They're just like gun ho, and they all joined the army. I'm like, yeah, dude, totally different. Like,
yeah,
Israelis, right?
Israelis, religious group and an ethnic group,
right? Israelis and Americans, totally different mindset, totally different world. No connection. So one thing I talk about all the time is that you have in Jewish history, we have a rich heritage of being fierce warriors, right? Going all the way back from, to Abraham fighting the kings, to Jacob preparing for battle against his brother. Then you have King David, you have the Maccabees, Joshua. We come from a history of really a fierce warrior mentality. Unfortunately, since the post-Holocaust, Jews have become meek, and I have found that they once again are relying on government to defend them, even in America, and that's where the problem is right? You will never get rid of anti-Semitism. That won't happen. Anti-Semitism is here, whether you like it or not, and it will never go away, ever. However, what you could do is curb it. And this is what I tell people, is that there's only one way to curb it. When you have people accosting Jews on the street, when you have them, a young 19-year-old boy was shot and killed yesterday in front of his Jewish school in Denver. And I don't think they know what happened. It seemed like it was an anti-Semitic attack, literally just shot down yesterday. If you want to curb anti-Semitic attacks in America, you need to stand up to the aggressor, right? The more people that get training, now I get it, people in New York, people in California, Illinois, Connecticut, all these liberal states, yes, I understand that it's not so easy to carry a firearm with you. So you know what? Carry a knife. You can't carry a knife, carry a baseball bat. You can't carry a baseball bat, learn some sort of martial arts. But at the end of the day, the only way to curb anti-Semitism and slow it down is to make sure that the aggressors understand that if they attack, they could be in for a world of pain. That we won't go down like sheep to a slaughter, right? That we embrace the David versus Goliath mentality, and we say enough is enough. If you come after us, we will fight back, and we do not care about the consequences because we are defending our own. And until you have that mindset, until you have that laser-like focus that Jews are warriors and that we could fight back and we could defend ourselves, then it's not going to happen. And that's something that, I try very hard to preach and get out there.
So, if I can boil it down really quick, facts don't care about your feelings, and explain the import of actual the capacity for self-defense, especially considering recent history.
Yeah, I mean, look, I have a lot of friends who are Asian in the firearms industry, and I'll be honest with you, they all, as cliche as it might sound, they're all of them, whether they're Chinese, Japanese, Indonesian, friggin' Vietnamese. I mean, I don't even whatever Asian you might come from, they all love the rooftop Koreans.
I'm pretty sure everyone loves them. I'm pretty sure everyone who's not stupid loves the rooftop Koreans. What an icon.
Exactly, but my point is, though, use their story, the rooftop Koreans in the LA riot. You use that to show them, guys, look, this is what happened in American history only 25 years ago. 22 years ago, whatever, you know what I'm saying, whatever, 27 years ago. This all happened recently. Look what they were able to do because of the firearms, because they exercised their Second Amendment rights. Pretty much, yeah. You do that. You just educate them. You offer them a chance to go to the range with you. All that kind of stuff, and eventually, hopefully, you can change hearts and minds.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, that's really what we're all about. It's like changing people's minds one range trip or post at a time. I mean, and you would think also, and I wish Bobby or Eugene were here to kind of back this up, but I mean, you think about the Chinese Exclusion Act, which was just in the last century, or the internment of the Japanese. All cases where our own government disarmed an ethnic group for no other reason than the color of their skin. And, it's no secret that most gun control laws in the United States are kind of racist in origin, including right here in California, where the Mulford Act was passed to ban open carry by none other than Ronald Reagan and the NRA because they were freaked out about the Black Panthers.
I think that's, I've felt some amount of shame in using fear to, or the potential of fear to appeal to different groups of people. But that's honestly I think a really good tactic. It's like, hey, this can and most likely, according to history, will happen again.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and that's why I'm so thankful for you and pretty much everybody I've kind of met through the podcast, kind of changing my mind on my voting habits, and also why a gun registry / universal background checks are actually not such a great idea, because guess what, maybe you have a peaceful regime now, but what happens in the future? You get somebody in there that has access to everybody's firearms records and information. They're probably going to use it for at least incompetent purposes like the DMV, or far worse than that.
Yeah, so I have another one for Jill. So when you kind of flipped the switch, came out as a Second Amendment person, what kind of social backlash did that have for you?
Well, in these here parts, not really a lot. When it came personally, there wasn't a lot. There's a few here and there. They were like, "Oh my gosh, guns kill." But of course, when you become more outspoken on social media and stuff like that. You get the folks that kind of that either purposefully target gun rights activists, or they just, they don't just stumble across posts and tweets and whatnots, and they have a huge disregard for it, or they a huge disdain for it. Better word for it, but they I guess because I'm so like steadfast in my convictions and my belief in it, and just from what I've grown up with and learned, I really don't pay attention. It's humorous to me because I can't believe that there are actually people in the world that have such a fear, and even more so a lack of understanding or a lack of want to understand something, like, that could not, that has a positive purpose as well as, as much as it does a negative one. And I just don't believe, I guess because my confusion with that, I mean, I know the reasons why people are like that. But I think that I still have a little bit of my own little culture shock with it. So it's kind of like, I here I am, this small town girl that grew up with firearms, raised around firearms. With my father was a law enforcement officer, so it's just kind of, to me, like hearing someone say, "Well, no, guns are bad." I'm like, really? Are they? Are they? Are guns bad or are people bad? So I don't know. When you say like the pushback against me personally, or either even through mom, it's mostly just been the political aspects of it, like which side we really fall on. Like, are you a libertarian or independent? I'm an independent or Republican, and we give props to our left-winger friends that are actually pro 2A, and people are like, no, so it just comes and goes from both sides, really, like pro 2A people and anti people. So I don't know. I kind of just let it go.
Yeah, tiny little shout out to the Socialist Rifle Association. I don't necessarily like you guys that much. Also.
They really do. When in the formation of Mom at Arms, actually a member of the Socialist Rifle Association was very helpful with research for us. So we were like, before Mom at Arms became Mom at Arms, I was a team of people before, like we're just like independent group. And then it just all came to be, and I happened to, be in a group, a nice little research group with a guy who was part of the Socialist Rifle Association. So that was kind of cool. He was very helpful.
But yeah, that is cool. I mean, and it's like, this SRA is, great, but like anybody, they've got their extremist nuts on either side,
Absolutely.
Some people really, really, really believe in the socialist end of the spectrum. Some people are like more libertarian, but it's just like the NRA. You got nuts on every side of the gun debate, and kind of sounds like you guys are like us, where we take heat from both sides.
Yes, very much. Yeah. I think Yehuda does anytime, especially with his last book.
Oh, God. Don't even get me started.
Oh. But yeah. But that comes with the territory. You can't help it, especially when you're trying to not necessarily change the design of the wheel, but change the path the wheel is going down. That you have to take it as it comes. So just is what it is, especially in any type of activism, I would assume. So I'm only part of this one, though.
Yeah.
I am starting to venture more so, because I am a mom. I am starting to venture more so into the education and school aspect of stuff of what's going on right now, but very pro 2A here.
Yeah, I have a couple more questions I'd like to ping pong off. Then we have Gun of the Week, and we'll be wrapping up. So, Yehuda, if there's one thing about guns that you could forced into people's brains to, get them to understand and stop being stupid, what would that factoid be?
Say that again?
If there was one, fact or statistic or, piece of knowledge about guns or gun ownership that you could get into people's brains to, change their view a little bit, what would that be?
I think the answer is don't buy a High Point.
Oh, don't knock High Point. Let me tell you something.
High Point
about High Point.
Reliable.
I got a Yeet Cannon. I do want one because they're $129, but I'd have to wait 30 days in between purchases in California. But I still want a Yeet Cannon just because it's called a Yeet Cannon.
Not only are High Points reliable, they are my favorite firearm. And the reason is they know their place in the industry. They own it. And they're not afraid to, get it out there. They know where they stand. They know that their guns are heavy. They know that their guns are bulky, but they also know how to have fun. I mean, I wrote a joke book called The 105 Explosive Gun Jokes, and in the book, one of the jokes are, why does the Navy love High Points? And the answer is because they double as anchors. And when I was at SHOT Show, I went to the High Point booth. I opened the book to that page, and I took a picture of the joke in the High Point booth. Not only did they like my post and share my post, they started following me, and they threw it right back in my face, saying, "Dude, get some new jokes because those ones are old." Meaning they know their place and they're so good about it that they're not trying to be something. They're not trying to be something they're not. And I absolutely love them about that. So, but in all honesty, if I can tell someone something in the gun world, it's just whatever kind of ego you might have, check it at the door. Check it. No one wants to hear it.
Amen.
No one. It's annoying, and you do nothing but hurt the firearms industry. So if you have any sort of ego, that's why that pretty much, if you have any sort of ego, just check it.
I think that's a good piece of advice. All right, and then final one for you, Jill. There was one gun law you could make or change. What would it be?
I can make a gun law.
Yeah, you can make any firearm related piece of legislation, and it passes automatically.
Oh man, but then I'd be contradicting myself. I was going to say that I would make a gun law that states that no other gun law. Okay, yeah, no other than this gun law, no other gun law.
So basically, the only gun law is the Second Amendment.
Yeah, it's kind of like Fight Club, like there's only one rule to Fight Club, and whatever other rules don't apply. So pretty much that. Yeah, so pretty much I would be backing up the Second Amendment by saying, shall not be infringed, but in other words.
Yeah, I think mine would just be all caps, shall not, bitches.
Exactly. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Leave it alone. Yeah, pretty much, or just leave me the hell alone. Don't worry about yourself.
No step on stick.
Yeah, for real. So that's it. That would be my gun. Yeah.
Well, it's kind of a follow-up to that. We always get, kind of a healthy debate about background checks. Are there any types of background check that you would support?
Yes, absolutely.
Sure.
Background checks on politicians.
Yes. And anyone who has ever spoken out against gun rights in the past. Because, if you look into a lot of what's happening now, there are gun control advocates that have actually committed crimes with guns. So I guess that would be one. So any gun control act.
Leland Yee, that California state senator who was very big on gun control laws.
Yes.
And then was convicted for running fully automatic weapons and, I believe, RPGs from a terrorist group known as MILF.
There you go. But yeah. So,
hey, it ties right in. He was in cahoots with those Moms Demand Action people. This makes sense now.
There you go.
Oh, that's it was the M something Islamic Liberation Front, but I think we all know it's just a front. Oh man, I'm getting like a whole cinematic universe in my head now. Oh, this is beautiful. All right. And that leads us on to our final article of discussion, which is the weird gun of the week, which we haven't covered yet somehow, which is the Zip 22.
Fun gun.
Yeah, I've held one. I haven't shot one. Has anybody shot one?
I have. Have you? Did you not see that picture I dropped in the text channel? So I took that picture.
Okay.
So that was
it was good enough. I thought it was a stock photo.
No. I took that. That's actually on the fan. Not my fan. The AC unit outside my house.
Oh, that's lovely. So do you own one?
I do not. That one belonged to my partner, and it was factory new in box.
Lovely.
Yeah, so pretty cool.
What do you think of it?
It's an absolutely stupid design, but it was fun.
Fair enough. Yeah, I spent a good bit of time. I'm big on 3D printing and otherwise manufacturing firearms at home. So I've spent some time looking through some homemade schematics for it. And it's definitely an idea.
Yeah, it's definitely an idea, but I just think it's dumb.
Yeah. Honestly, I want to have somewhat of whatever the guy who designed it was smoking, because it was really interesting. And I remember when it was announced, I got pretty hyped about it. But then I saw some videos of it just malfunctioning. I got really sad. So for the uninitiated, the Zip 22, it's a bullpup pistol with no discernible grip. That looks kind of like just it looks like a really fancy buttstock for an AR, for example. But it's actually a pistol. It doesn't work very, very well, but looks kind of like a really sexy brick. Yeah, so a little 22 LR pistol. Yeah, it's there's not too much to say about it, to be honest. Besides, rest in peace.
Yeah, pretty much.
Alrighty. And so now you have something to Google, dear listeners.
Google. It looks like we have 3 people in the audience. Well, yeah, unless we have Q&A. Yashki, Raffle Stomp, Sam H. Do you have any questions for us, Yehuda or Jill, Mom at Arms? Just feel free to hit the raise hand icon in the chat, and we can put you on mic.
Yeah, anything goes. We will be happy to cut it out and post. Yeah, you can literally say anything. And apparently that scared them off.
Booga booga.
Yeah,
oh, God, one left.
You literally scared him off.
Well. He just left. Alrighty. Well.
I Bye, guys.
Yeah, this translates on go there, but yes, we just asked the question, and his little icon disappeared from Discord.
That's great. Oh, no, I'm sorry. I didn't. I don't know.
It's like that Car Talk stinger. I don't know if anybody listened to Car Talk back when that was. You know, even though people with celiac disease reach for a bagel every time they hear us say it, this is NPR.
Nice. Yeah, I've heard they have the entire of Car Talk archived on a podcast wherever you find them. Speaking of which, you can find our podcast on Apple or Spotify or any other venue at AAPI GOcast. And be sure to check out our website, AAPIGO.net. And Yehuda, Jill, what are your URLs again for the audience?
What are our what?
URLs,
your URLs.
Socials.
Oh, URL. Man,
Where do we
you guys are way
you?
guys are way too techie. Just
okay.
Where can people reach you?
Yeah. But final
on
question:
the internet,
GIF or GIF?
On the internets, where do I go?
Yes. Is it?
So, oh, GIF or GIF?
It's GIF. Thank you.
I believe
much.
it's
yes.
GIF.
It is.
Yes.
GIF. Okay.
It is GIF. Yes,
We can still be friends
I
then.
did know. Yes, that one I did know. You can find me across all social media platforms at the Pew Pew Jew, or you can just go to my website, thepewpewjew.com. We've got a lot of fun swag, and you can get signed copies of my books.
Yeah, his shirts are absolutely phenomenal.
They really are.
And then Mama Arms
And
by Google.
Mama Arms. Just Mama Arms. You could do that. And we're on Twitter, MeWe, Instagram, Facebook. I think that's pretty much our main spots right now. And other than that, just I guess you can also find us at bearingarms.com. And we also may or may not have a MySpace page running around. I don't know. So, but other than that, we are just type in momadarms.com or momadarms, and we've made a good platform, so you'll find us.
Don't feel bad. I think I made a Tumblr and we have like one page view on that. So, MySpace probably gets way more traffic at this point.
Why did we have a Tumblr, Scott?
I was an experimental phase. I also set up a WeChat and a TikTok there. So, the Chinese government has this.
We have a TikTok. We have a TikTok.
Yeah,
we also have a OnlyFans.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And we got kicked off Reddit, I think. I'm not sure, but I think we're still on there, maybe. I don't know.
Oh.
Yeah.
Nice. Yes, we have Reddit too, and they love us.
Okay.
Yes, Raffle Stomp. We see you. Okay, I'm going to sign off again later, but for now, we will add you in.
That was a great
How's it going?
podcast, by the way. I learned a lot from that.
Bless you.
This is not a question, but it was just something that came up to me a while back, before I even bought a gun. I think it was before I bought a handgun. I was talking to one of my friends at the time, and he was very anti-gun. He was always telling me, there's no need to buy a gun. There's no the point that he was trying to make was that I think he was saying if the majority of the time that people buy guns, he was saying that in a domestic violence situation, the gun's always the gun or something is always used in a domestic violence situation. So I was just wondering, I was like, is that really true, or is that statistic really true? Because then he was very confident with that. He was telling me, he was like, hey, most of the time, people that buy guns, they're either going to end up using it in a domestic violence situation, or you're never going to use it at all. So there's no point in buying a gun. But in my head, I'm just like you don't know that, there's always that uncertainty of someone breaking in, someone doing something. So that's why I always carry a gun with me, even at work. Right now, I'm at work right now. I was listening to the podcast. I'm carrying my Glock with me too, just in case, because I work at a gas station on the east side of Salinas, and you never know what can happen. So, especially when I'm leaving work, I leave work late at night, and I don't know what's gonna happen. So, for me, I feel like it's just for my own protection.
Absolutely.
I thought it was a good point, but he didn't really cite any sources. But I was just curious to see what you guys thought about that.
The National Domestic Violence Coalition and Association, you will actually find that same talking point, and a lot of gun control organizations do push that talking point a lot with firearms. And firearms, you have to understand that firearms they're not necessarily, I mean, you have to look at the good, the bad stigma behind them. And when you think about domestic violence situations, what people don't understand is that an abuser will use any method they possibly can to control their victim. And, that's just that's the subject line. I mean, that's what it is. You hear more today in today's society about the women that are abused, and then, of course, there was a gun involved. And you have to really get behind those, get into the research behind it, and research those stories, because those women were completely defenseless, and men. There are men in these situations as well. I don't mean to leave but people have to understand that domestic violence, it's a very complex situation for anybody that's involved in it, and the abusers are not. They're out for control. They're not necessarily. They're not like in the situations to kill. They're to kill right off the bat. The majority of abuse victims that lose their lives from domestic abuse are those who leave, who have found a way to leave, but they are still defenseless in those situations. I mean, you have to really, because they're going through situations like court cases and ERPOs and any type of like forms that they're filing with their magistrates and the courts to keep these, restraining orders and stuff like that. And types of things just piss off domestic abusers even more. And that's why, the great majority of abuse victims lose their lives after the fact, after they leave. It's because they leave and they are being watched just as much as the abuser is, because, and that's how police lose their lives in these situations as well. Because they're having to investigate and keep an eye on both and all this good stuff. I mean, and all that fun stuff, and fun being a sarcastic word, sorry. But thinking about it like that, and I'm hoping I'm answering your question, if you put yourself in a position where you are putting your personal safety first, you are going to do what you can, just like an abuser will find any way possible to harm their victim. You, as a person that may be afraid of something like that, any type of abuser, any type of an assailant, they don't care. They want to harm you. They're going to do it. It doesn't matter what kind of tool is, within access to do it with. So, yes, that statistic has been used. It is used a lot. Firearms that are present anywhere, if you are not educated on it, if you do not have any training on it, they can be used negatively. So, if it's just like picking up a mousetrap that's set and you don't know anything about it. I mean, of course, if you put your finger on it, it's going to snap and get you. Mm-hmm. Same concept. Sense. So, I mean, that's where that comes from. And I hope I answered your question. Definitely. I'm not someone in any type, in gun rights. We're not here to push firearms into anyone's hands. We're just like, hey, yeah, go get them. We're here to help you understand that everyone has a choice. This is a choice. This is something, and with any choice that you make and a decision you make in life, there comes a responsibility behind it. And that's the whole purpose there. So when it comes down to domestic abuse or any type of abuse that's going on in anyone's life, they really need to do their research as best they can and reach out. So I hope that.
No, I actually just pulled up the statistics.
Yeah.
So the numbers themselves. So I think the number itself, like guns owned, are more likely to be used, on you versus, in defense, in your own defense in a domestic abuse case. But I think the statistic itself is being misquoted. So essentially, essentially, the vast majority of domestic abuse victims who die are killed after they leave. And approximately half of them are killed by a firearm after they leave. And so there's and the rest are killed usually by blunt force trauma. So
and what a lot of people don't understand is that those half that are killed by firearm, a lot of people don't understand that those firearms were more than likely, and I don't know, I'm gonna rephrase that, were most definitely a stolen firearm, because you have to understand these are reported instances. There are a lot of domestic abuse, claims that have never been reported because people are scared to do such. But those that are being reported are saying, like half of these crimes where it came down to domestic violence and a gun was used to take a life. And what people don't understand is that the victim was still left defenseless because she or he cannot put a cop in their pocket or anything like that. And more than likely, and I am saying more than likely, there's probably some sort of already disputed issue like drug abuse or something like that within the partnership or within the relationship that kind of kept both of them from getting a firearm legally then. But then when the woman left, or the man or whoever left, and it pissed off the abuser, they more than likely acquired their firearm illegally to take out revenge on the victim.
Well,
people aren't
like
saying that
old story. I mean, you could walk down to a fentanyl dealer in the Tenderloin in San Francisco and get a gun in about 10 minutes. Whereas in California, it takes you 10 days at a registration process to get a firearm.
And imagine that for a victim who is going through something and they have they're completely legit and they want to get a firearm to protect themselves, and within that 10-day period, they lose their life. I mean, and then it's sad. It's really sad.
Yeah. Finally, to round it out, I mean, if you're talking with somebody about this and they are parroting some statistics, they're likely already pretty set in their opinion. So you're not going to be able to talk this issue out with them. One statistic I like to come back with whenever possible is there's never been a recorded case of a woman who was legally concealed carrying being raped ever.
That's right.
I didn't know that. That's pretty crazy.
Yep. Think about it. If you're, if that's going on, I think a gun being introduced to the situation can quickly end that.
Yeah.
And that's probably, I think, the best comeback, because you're not going to change people's minds.
No, yeah, I figured.
Arguing that statistic out. If they're quoting that and they know that, they're probably emotionally invested in changing people's emotions.
No, definitely. I just felt like he was judging me
a lot harder, because
I was trying to buy a cig at the time, and he was just like, "Why would you put your money into that?" And he was just kind of like giving me this whole spiel, and I was just like, well, I like to shoot for sport too. It's not just for home defense. I like to shoot just for fun, and I like to shoot some steel. And there's more to it than just for home defense. That's just one aspect of it.
Honestly, that sounds like a person who needs to mind their own business.
And keep in mind when you hear someone say something that to you sounds so outrageous, the chances are that it is. And no matter how convincing or how sure this guy is, do your own research. Always do your own research.
Exactly.
Never, anything that you hear us, either me, Jill, or any of the hosts tonight, if you're like, well, that sounds crazy, do your own research.
Please.
At the end of the we're telling you what research we've done. But if you're like, hey, I don't necessarily believe that, fact check us. No one who's speaking the truth and bringing facts to back up what they're saying, no one will care if you're fact checking us.
No.
So always do your own research.
For sure. Thanks, guys. No, that was a great,
Thank you.
response.
Thank you. Great question.
Only one other thing I wanted to add is, in terms of research, most police departments post their response times or are audited for their response times. So just go to your local county sheriff, look up the response time to a tier 1 incident, which is a life or death situation. And you can show your friend, like in the city of Oakland, it takes them an average of 7 to 20 minutes to respond to a tier 1 threat. San Jose is a little bit worse. So you think about that, the average murder takes probably less than 2 to 3 minutes. You're basically a sitting duck until the police arrive.
That's a very good point. I didn't even think about that. Yeah. I mean, I deal with the response times here all the time. It's pretty terrible. Just we're dealing with something that's not threatening. It takes about like an hour, 2 hours sometimes.
That sounds about right for a decent sized city. I mean, I had defensive gun usage out in the middle of absolute nowhere. And, if I'd managed to get coverage and managed to call a cop, it would have been about an hour and a half if I had told them it was life or death.
I think too, a lot of these
1911 Big Dog solved it.
Yeah, and another one is a great story. It's a horrible story, actually. It's a very sad story. Is the lady in St. Louis that just lost her life. She was domestic abuse in her home. She had told people that she was trying her best to find her way out, and cops weren't listening, and there were several times that the cops were called, but she ended up being beheaded right out front. Yeah.
Jesus.
So,
Yikes.
yeah. So, I mean, a guy, her boyfriend just right out in front of the sidewalk in front of another lady's apartment who was shell shocked, and people were just watching. Just this little bitty lady was getting her head cut off. So, I mean, yeah. So, yeah. So, I mean, imagine I'm personally somebody who believes in I want to save I want to go into homes and just take them out and just say, hey, look, we're getting you out of here. We're going to protect you for forever and ever. I'm that person. I'm that, I want to be the white knight in that one. But when it comes down to these situations, you hear stories like that and about a woman getting her head cut off by her abuser. I mean, yeah, you need to be strapped. People need to educate themselves, at least educate yourselves. People need to educate themselves on it.
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
And with that,
cool. Thank you to our audience, especially. I'm just going to snap here so I can get it back to the end. But yeah, thanks everyone for showing up today. Special thanks to Yehuda and Jill for making it out here. Really appreciate it. And to everyone in our audience, thanks again for listening. If you liked what you hear, please give us a glowing 5-star review. And if you didn't like what you hear, just ignore what I just said and move on elsewhere. But we're happy to have you. This has been the AAPI GOcast, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.